You're listening to a special edition of The Breakthrough Advisor. Today I'm speaking with Steve Kearns and Jeff Maxey. I want to thank them both for being here, especially on short notice. Steve, you said you wanted to get this message out quickly due to the current situation with COVID-19 and the way it's affecting the markets, and you wanted to speak directly to your clients. What do we need to hear today?
Eric, good day to you as well. Our theme today is walking through the valley of viruses and volatility. You know, Nassim Taleb wrote the bestseller Black Swans about extremely rare and unpredictable events. And I think we'd all agree that what we're facing today is a black swan. The Dow Jones fell almost 3,000 points, the biggest one-day plunge ever, and the largest drop of the month-long downturn. It was the highest percentage decline since the infamous Black Monday of 1987. The Fed has now lowered rates to almost zero and has launched over $1 trillion in quantitative easing, and yet the market still fell. The World Health Organization has declared COVID-19 as a global pandemic. So this kind of looks and quacks like a black swan.
Yeah.
But our team has engaged in a 24/7 effort for the last several weeks, helping our advisors adjust and adopt and thrive as we walk through what we call the valley of viruses and volatility. So we thought we would share some of the lessons that we've learned and what we are bringing to our distribution. So Jeff, why don't you start with that?
I'd be glad to, and thank you again for joining us on the Breakthrough Advisor podcast. You know, some of the lessons that we've learned, and the first one seems very simple, but it really is true, and it goes to the core of who we are as people. Acknowledge that the fear is real. And that goes for both you as an advisor and for your clients as well. And so by acknowledging the fear is real, you know, we all need to understand the fear that clients feel. As advisors, we need to let our own clients express their fears and uncertainties. You know, it's in times like this when the market becomes very volatile, as it has amid fear of the coronavirus epidemic. It goes without saying, many people are nervous. And so for you as an advisor, showing your value goes beyond the markets. It goes beyond data points. It goes beyond anything that has to deal with numbers. Then once they've shared that fear with you, then you can move on to this too shall pass. And it's at that point that you can then share with them how markets have recovered from corrections, how they've recovered from recessions and depressions in the past. You know, our markets have withstood past viruses like the swine flu, Ebola, and MERS. And so our markets are robust, but it's in these times like this when it's down that people's fear really needs to be acknowledged. And this too shall pass. Steve?
Yeah, that's a great point, Jeff. I would say another lesson learned and that I would encourage all advisors to do is to communicate, and communicate. Now is the time when we need to be the source of context and empathy. You know, I've been doing this for 37 years, and it has never been truer that clients don't care about how much you know until they know how much you really care. And today is a time for empathy. Clients don't have your experience, and they don't have the benefit of your understanding of how secure the annuity and insurance solutions that you offer can be for their retirement plans. So we encourage you now to listen and to understand and to remain confident for your clients. We've prepared for you what we call the Savvy Advisors Market Volatility Game Plan that takes advisors step by step through a behavioral focused conversation about fear, about markets, about retirement, and about next steps.
And so one of the other things that we've learned, Steve, as we share with our audience here is, we acknowledge their fear. Secondly, we want to communicate. And really number 3 is make lemonade. You know, there's simply a new normal for doing business. Social distancing, as this term that has popped up, renders traditional dinner seminars in-office meetings and most face-to-face meetings impractical. Even as we record this podcast, Steve and I are in 2 different locations, social distancing. And here at InsurMark, we are fortunate to have a comprehensive suite of tools to help you, our advisor, transition to a virtual practice. Advisors need to remember, and I know you know this, but you're running a business. And right now is the opportunity to really distance yourself from the competition. So if an advisor is not ready, we can help and we can serve you in this time of transition. Several things come to mind as we have tools to help you. Go online for marketing. We have those tools to help you. Go virtual for your meetings. And there's a number of great platforms that we have that we can recommend to you, and we can even use our BizBucks to help you pay for them. Go electronic for business submission. All of our carriers have an e-app process that can go directly into the carrier, and you can still transact business. And I might add, at a time when our clients, consumers, need our help and need our services now more than ever, if you will. And then go safe with protocols for face-to-face meetings. There are some proactive steps that not only are you probably taking within your practice and in your office, but if you do by chance meet with someone one-on-one, hey, I'm taking these necessary steps and we have some best practices for you. And then make sure that your office is ready to work remotely. The cloud gives us a wonderful opportunity to share cross-department information and process business. And so as we continue on here on the Breakthrough Advisor podcast, acknowledge the fear is real, communicate, make lemonade, and Steve, what else do we have?
Jeff, I would say don't let today's solutions cause tomorrow's problems. As an advisor, as you look for strategic partners to walk with you right now, choose them carefully. Ask pointed questions like, who has the technology and systems for me to stay in business? Who has the virtual technology to make me a celebrity in my own hometown? Who has the technology and systems to be there when you call? Guaranteed products hold up very well in periods of adversity. We've lived through it. For 37 years, I've lived through it. Obviously, they are very popular right now. And there's a place in the plans of many retirees and pre-retiree plans for our bond alternatives and other insured products. But not all products and carriers are created equally. That's why we are refreshing our due diligence daily. We look at carrier due diligence considering critical topics like zero interest rates. How will they raise new capital and their long-term product strategies? We post carrier and product updates daily at InsurMark.net/updates. Jeff, how about another thing that we're doing here?
A big key component of what we have done and are doing is very simply, we are battle tested and we here at InsurMark are ready for business. Because you see, business continuation is not just an academic exercise for us. So we may be the only IMO in the country that has survived and stayed in continuous operation during a hurricane and floods. And therefore, it's because of those, our plans simply don't live in a 3-ring binder. We've had to use these prior, and we will use them now as we will use them in the future because we have been and are prepared to be battle tested. We are open for business in any circumstance. So, Steve?
Yeah, we are. That's a great point. So, as Jeff has said, we need to acknowledge that the fear is real. We need to communicate, and communicate. We need to make lemonade. We can't let today's solutions cause tomorrow's problems. We need to let everybody know that we are battle tested. We are ready for business. We are open for business 24/7. And I would say lastly, it's time to seize the opportunity. It's time to think long term. There's a classic opportunity for advisors to protect the downside and expose the upside in today's climate. Adjust your client's asset allocation to a more comfortable glide path. You know, there's a study by Dr. Wade Pfau, a world leader of retirement research and professor at the American College, that found that those who reduce stock exposure in the initial years of retirement to 20 to 30% and then gradually raise it over time to 50 to 70% are likely to make their money last 30 years even in the worst market scenarios. So, exchange some bonds, which haven't been hit as hard as stocks, for an FIA as a bond alternative. That way, as the recovery happens and you have equity and the equity exposure rises without downside protection. Dr. Robert Shiller has written a white paper in support of this strategy, and we'd be happy to share the Shiller FIA white paper with any of our listeners today. Indeed, as I mentioned earlier, this is a black swan, but that's why we use the mix of insured products and strategies that we use. It simply produces better client outcomes. So, Jeff, any final thoughts?
No, we've talked about some key points, acknowledging that the fear is real. Communication is key. Make lemonade. We don't control our circumstances. We just control how we react to them. A big part you mentioned is don't let today's solutions cause tomorrow's problems. And then, we're battle tested. We're ready. We are open for business 24/7 and seizing this opportunity. And so to get some of the material that Steve mentioned here, the Dr. Robert Shiller FIA white paper, or even our market volatility game plan, which we have prepared for you, all you need to do is reach out to your advisor development consultant here at InsurMark, and we will send this over to you.
Jeff, that sounds like a fantastic resource. Would it be okay if we put a link in the show notes so that anyone listening can go to the show notes and click the link and get right to that white paper?
That's a great idea. Absolutely. We would be glad to do that, especially during this time when information is key. And that white paper really hits not specifically on what's going on, but the long-term effect of the markets and why you would like to have a portion of your client's assets within some of these FIA type products.
Thank you, Eric. And Jeff, thank you very much. For those of you listening, I want to thank you for your time, for listening. And we want to extend on behalf of InsurMark out to all of you our best wishes and prayers for you and your families, that you remain safe and that you stay positive in these trying times. We thank you all, and we wish you a good day.